How's it going, everyone? We are back for another draft. I think this is number 4 for NFL playoff best ball on DraftKings. Ended up pulling the 5th overall pick. Still not able to get that first overall pick. Maybe diversify the portfolio a little bit here, but this is actually draft number 10 for me. Draft number 4 that you guys are seeing before I started. The other 6 were done before I started this channel, but let's see who we end up drafting today. Past 3 drafts that I've published have all been Eagles and Chiefs. So let's see if we can diversify a little bit here and switch it up. Okay, so if I build around Lions and Bills or Lions Chiefs or Lions Ravens, I think I'm going to start this draft out with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's switch it up. Let's get away from the Eagles, and let's see if we can pair him with Jared Goff. I like the Lions' chances up there along with the Eagles, but the Vikings can spoil that. But I just want to mitigate some risk here and get exposure to both of these teams. All right, it's going to be really hard to pass up on Justin Jefferson here. I'm going to take both. Amon-Ra and Jefferson. I know I'm at least getting some points from one of those guys because one of them will be on a bye based off of how the final week of the season ends. Either the Vikings will have the bye or the Lions will have the bye, and coincidentally enough, they're playing each other the final week, so that will determine who gets the number 1 overall seed. It'd be nice if I can get Goff here. I think I've yet to pull off a Goff and Amon-Ra stack. Let's just see what the draft board is looking like. Already has a QB, 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 QB. It might happen, so this might have been a good push here. And then on the bring back side there, we could go JMO, we could go Laporta. I really hope this guy doesn't throw a wrench into the draft and then he takes Goff. He doesn't need to. He already has Mahomes. And he took Goff. Why potentially take 2 quarterbacks that will be on bye the first week? Okay. Well, I think Puka Nacua here is good value for the playoff round. So let's just go with him. And then let's try to... You know what? Could go Worthy. Could go Darnold. What are the odds that Darnold makes it back? This guy doesn't have a quarterback. Okay, so he goes with Andrews. Yeah, in terms of quarterback, I don't think there are too many guys that are playoff hopeful here. Sam Laporta goes. I'd really love to have... You know what? This is already tough. Already tough. You know what? We'll take... I have to take Darnold there. Well, unfortunately, I had to cut this draft short. That's what happens when you try to do a draft while your baby's taking a nap. Baby woke up and needed to go in there and make sure he was okay. So ended up finishing the draft on my phone, and we can see how it ended up here. So I'm not quite sure I remember where I left off, but ended up going with Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson. One of these guys is going to have the bye. It was really hard to pass up on potential points from either one of these guys and the talent. Could I have risked it and just, went with a guy like A.J. Brown, or maybe James Cook might have been a little more unique. But I didn't because I thought it was too risky. So I went with both of these guys. Then I came back with Puka Nacua. I just feel like having at least two of these 3 guys going in round 1 will hopefully get me to advance and get me a lot of points. And brought it back with Sam Darnold. So I had hoped for that stack with Jared Goff there. Didn't get that, so I kind of brought it back with Darnold there. Since I targeted both of the Detroit and Vikings players, decided to bring in one more Lions guy with Jameson Williams, who's been really coming on as of late. Um, Realize I'm not really picking any running backs that have advancement potential or Super Bowl potential, really. So I went with Kyron Williams and Bucky Irving. Bucky's mainly a first round guy to get me some points if Kyron Williams doesn't actually get me there. But who knows? I mean, the playoffs, anything can happen. It's a clean slate. Everyone's record is 0-0. If Tampa Bay wins, and Bucky can move on and get some points in the next round. Ended up going with one tight end and actually only one AFC piece throughout this whole draft. Actually, two. Dalton Kincaid, he's my only tight end. Hoping that, he can get into good form here. Aside from last week, had 7 targets in the 2 previous games, 5, 10, 7, 6, 7. So he is a decent part of the offense. Hopefully he can get me enough points to move me on in round 1. Brought in one more Lions player with David Montgomery. Looks like he should be back for the playoffs after an MCL sprain. Hasn't played since week 15. Cooper Kupp in the 10th round I thought was just really good value. Either him or Puka is going to have the big game. Maybe. I mean, there's really nothing saying that one of the two has to have a big game, but odds are Stafford's going to key in on somebody. It's just who's it going to be. Lately, it's obviously been Puka, but Cooper Kupp, he's no scrub. I know the past few weeks have been pretty quiet, and I know a lot of playoff fantasy managers are upset with his performance, but he does have that potential to go over 100 yards, catch double-digit balls or get double-digit targets and land into the end zone. Since I have a lot of Rams players, I actually went with the Rams stack here. So we have Stafford, Puka, Kupp, and Kyron Williams, which is really all the offense runs through. Any ancillary piece outside of that really isn't going to do much. I know Demarcus Robinson had a pretty good year, but he's fallen off over the past few weeks. And, if Sam Darnold is on a bye, that would only be with Matthew Stafford. Points-wise, he really hasn't been doing much the past 3 weeks. And if he plays the Packers, I think this can turn into a game where he might not need to throw. Might be like a dink and dunk kind of game or game management. So yeah, and ended up finishing with Justin Herbert as another quarterback. Has some mobility. He can run. He can run one in the end zone. Looks like he's in a pretty fantasy-friendly matchup round 1. So, yeah, try to get some more quarterback points there to move me on in advance. So that's it for the draft. That's draft number 10. What I wanted to look at next is kind of what my ownership is looking like so far in my best ball tournaments. So here on DraftKings, we can see our exposures. Starting from top to bottom, looks like Kyron is actually my most drafted player out of 10 drafts. I have him in 6. But if we look at my quarterback distribution here, pretty even. I have the most of Darnold and Herbert and Love, probably because they're just the cheapest ones to get. I didn't realize I drafted Baker twice. That's interesting. And I also didn't realize I only drafted Mahomes twice. I thought I had a little more shares of him. But guys like Hurts, Jackson, Goff, Allen, really the main Super Bowl contenders, it's actually pretty low there. So I should probably start prioritizing those quarterbacks and get their numbers up for the next 10 drafts. I think I'm going to be able to target 20 drafts here. So have $400 on the line. If I sneak one lineup through to the final round, minimum payout is $500. So I'm pretty much paying off all my entries here. Looking at the running back position, wow, I didn't realize I had Monty at 50%. That's interesting. But we do have Kyron at 60. I think he's just really good value. Too good a value to pass up on. I have a hard time taking zeros. I'd rather get some points, even if it's a team that won't be advancing or making it deep into the playoffs. I want to make sure I get out of the first round to have the chance to see the next day. And if I can stack some of those Super Bowl contending teams in the meantime while getting some of those other pieces that won't be advancing but can score points in round 1 or potentially 2, that's probably my best strategy there. So we do have Kyron. That's why I've been drafting him. Monty is a late running back piece. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is great. I would love to see him in a full workload, but Monty still is a pretty pivotal piece of their their offense there. He's going to get a lot of the short yardage plays, maybe a lot of the red zone plays, some of the early down work. So once he's back to full health, I think he's a good value pick. Followed up next by Barkley and Dobbins. Barkley, yeah, he's had an amazing year. As a Giants fan, it's hard to see him in an Eagles uniform doing that, but honestly, he deserves everything. The Giants organization totally botched that situation, and I don't blame Barkley for doing what he did. You have to, at the end of the day, it's a business. You need to prioritize yourself, get the best deal that you can, and go to a team that's going to respect you. J.K. Dobbins, Bucky Irving, Jalen Warren, Kareem Hunt. These guys are all on 20% of my teams. Only 10% Gibbs, Brian Robinson Jr., and Samaje Perine. Brian Robinson probably on a team where I was a little thin at running back, so just wanted to get some starting running back points there. Looking at the wideouts, my top two owned are Ladd McConkey and Xavier Worthy, two rookie wide receivers that have really turned it on as of late, followed by 40% of Puka Nacua, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and Cooper Kupp. Going down a little further in the 30%, we have Addison, Jefferson, and Hollywood Brown. And then really just a mix of guys here. I didn't realize I owned this many receivers. So a pretty good portfolio there of wide receivers. I'm kind of happy with that, but we'll probably need to pull back on these guys. I think 50% is probably my max that I want to get exposure to for some of my players, just to have some diversification, and being able to get some of those guys to advance that might be lower owned or it's not expected for them to be playing deeper in the playoffs. And then to round it up in my tight end position, which I've kind of been ignoring, I just feel like the tight end position going into this year's draft for fantasy, there was a lot of expectation around elite tight ends, and honestly, those tight ends did not meet expectations. I'm kind of expecting that to happen in the playoffs too. So I'm having a hard time prioritizing tight ends early in the drafts here. You can see I have 0% Travis Kelce. I know Travis Kelce really shines in the playoffs, but it's been a down year for him. It's hard to bet on that one. There's other big names around, especially on some of these other teams that can make it deep into the playoffs. So my highest owned tight ends here are Laporta, Freiermuth, and Hawkinson. Freiermuth, I just think he's going to be, getting a lot of targets in a game script where they're playing from behind. So he's primarily a round one, fill in the points type of player for me. And then everyone else, my top owned tight ends like Laporta and Hawkinson and Kincaid, Noah Gray, those are all teams that can go deep into the playoffs. And then the rest are, again, kind of similar to Freiermuth, just guys I'm hoping I can get points out of in round one. So that's what my overall exposure is looking like. I didn't realize that my screen was not even capturing most of that. So yeah, I will try to fix that for next video. But yeah, as always, if you can like, subscribe, comment on any video, trying to increase the number of my subscribers to get up to 500. So every 100 subscribers, I will be giving away $20 PayPal to anybody that interacts with any of my content. So I'll post a video, I'll do a randomizer of any usernames that I can get, and then once we get to 100, we'll do the drawing, and I'll reach out to that user that actually wins. So thanks for watching. I'll probably be back again tomorrow for another best ball draft. I think we can get another 10 days worth of drafts in here, and we can talk about strategy and see how these drafts went. All right, see you all tomorrow.